Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 25. So, in last episode, we simulated more of our Year 3 season, and I would say that was a successful season aside from the fact that we had so many injuries throughout the year, probably because there's basically, if I'm not mistaken, let's actually go over to the settings for a second. I think the sliders reset is what people have been saying, so technically our injuries, I don't know, they didn't reset. It's still at 9 out of 100, but they happen so frequently. Unless it's technically reset, but it doesn't show the number has reset, because that would be interesting. But they shouldn't be happening that frequently. There are 9 out of 100, so literally we shouldn't have got as much as we did. And yeah, it made the episode definitely a long episode, just because we had to constantly change players in and out of the lineup. And yeah, it was a mess of an episode in that sense. Also the fact that it took away a lot of ice time, basically, or playing time, I should say, from some of our top prospects, because you could see that like guys like Ristolainen and Stowitz didn't miss any games. But if we go through this list here, down to this, you can see Timmins lost 1 game due to injury. Bogosian lost a game. Also, Narena lost 2 games. You have Parks, who lost 6 games. Capaduca lost 8 games. Tuzolino lost almost half his rookie season, which is insane. So we had a lot of injuries to our young prospects. And then in goal, I don't think we had any goalie injuries, if I'm not mistaken. But still, that's a lot of injuries for the NHL. And then the AHL even had some injuries, like Rohan Trainer also missed 3 games. I think there was, yeah, Volk missed like half the season, unless he was scratched, but I think he missed half the season. So a lot of our prospects got hurt, and that definitely is not something we want to really see going forward in episodes. So probably what I am going to be doing is turning injuries off, just for at least until like the injuries start feeling a little bit better. Like once we have a full team, it won't be as bad, because we'll have guys that could jump into the lineup in and out. But right now we don't have filter players right now for our rosters, so I think the best thing to do is probably to turn it off. So let's go back over to settings, and we'll turn that off to start off the season. And obviously, like I said, we could turn it back on maybe in a future season, as long as you guys remind me and you think it's a good spot for us to start putting it back on. So we should be able to go down here, I believe, and turn it off if it's not there. Actually, maybe it's not on this part. Maybe we just have to go. Actually, no, I did just see it. Of course, I just saw it as soon as I quit. There it is. It was right at the top. So there we go, that's all set and ready to go. So now we won't have to deal with those during next few seasons. We'll probably turn it back on, like I said, once we actually have a full-on roster. But anyways, before we get into the off-season, let's get into your guys' comments and see what you guys have to say about last episode. And then we will see what we could snag up here at the draft. And hopefully we could kind of get this team into good shape again for next season. And hopefully next season is going to be a fun one. So the first 3 comments are from Dusty Wall. The first one says, since you end up simming to the start of January anyway, maybe you could assign a few players half-season goals going forward, maybe more doable. And yeah, that might be an idea. Maybe we do some like short-term goals for some guys, since I do tend to send up to the halfway part of the season and then see how our team's doing at that point. So maybe that's what we could do, is for a couple guys that aren't maybe as important, give them like short-term goals, but our big guys, obviously, they should get some long-term goals so they could hopefully get as much growth as possible from their areas. So yeah, maybe that's something we look at doing with some guys, but obviously we'll have to determine which type of goals we want to give those players in the next episode. Dusty also says, changing Stowitz to a playmaker may be a good thing, but he plays more of a two-way forward game. And yeah, Stowitz has been a bit of an interesting player so far, because he is a power forward, if I'm not mistaken, right? Would we say he is a power forward? I think so. Yeah, he's a power forward, but he doesn't really simulate like a power forward. You can take a look at his player stats. His first 3 years, he's not hit 20 goals so far, and he's always picked up more assists and goals at the moment. But he does kind of play like a two-way forward game, because he does throw a lot of hits, does have a good amount of takeaways too. So maybe there's a chance that we could try and get him to change over to a two-way forward for next season, or we could try and get him to a playmaker. But I don't really know if he's going to be a playmaker, because his passing's still only at 87. So there might be some adjustments we do going forward. And lastly, Dusty also says, also about the injuries, I don't mind them on if there's normal results, but that many injuries sucked, made the video hard to watch, much less record. And yeah, I didn't really like the injuries at all. It definitely made the episode long and draggy, and also because of the fact that Tuzolino, who is hopefully our next future top offensive defenseman, hopefully he doesn't have injuries like that again, because those lacerated arms that he had, not a great idea. 25 points in 46 games. He could have ended up being one of the best rookies out there in the entire NHL if he did not have those injuries. So definitely want him fully healthy for a full season, so I think turning injuries off is probably our best bet. A lot of other people were talking about the injuries as well, about like, hey, turn off the injuries, so that's exactly what I did, and I think that's probably the best bet for our team so we could actually stay healthy and get through these seasons a little bit quicker than normal. Our next comment is from Joseph D. Miller, who says, I'm fine with you using no trade clauses, but if you feel like it's making things too easier later on, then you could stop using them. So I was thinking, because Staubitz's contract is up for renewal, that we could just easily just put no trade clauses on almost any of our players on our team to help sign our players. But obviously, if it's becoming too easy, then we don't necessarily need to do it, because obviously we're not going to be making trades in this series. So for every player to have like a no trade clause, I think that would make sense in a way, but at the same time, it would look a little goofy if our full-on roster actually had a no-trade clause. The next comment is from Canadian Eagles, who says, to be honest, I'd go Kolars. Would be a nice compliment to your other forwards. So he's saying to go with Kolars at the draft, which I believe he was not supposed to go till later. We do not have the first pick. I think we had we have the third overall pick, and I was looking at Peltier. He was saying to go off the board and go with Matej Kolars, who is a playmaker. He is kind of intriguing just because he is a playmaker. He could be a good little setup guy. But I do also feel like we kind of might need a defenseman, and this defenseman's supposed to go a lot earlier in a way. So I don't really know if I would go Kolars just because of the fact that we could use a more defensive help. The only thing with bringing in Billy Peltier is it would knock down some guys in our lineup a little bit. And guys like Trevelyan and stuff like that will start to get winged out of our lineup, which is not something I really like too much. But we might end up having to do that. But then getting a good playmaker for the top six isn't a bad idea too. So maybe I go off the board and go Kolars. I'll definitely weigh our options a little bit more when we get actually into the draft. Our next comment is from Michael Dose, who says, I would go off the board too and draft the playmaker with the first pick. So he's also saying to go with Kolars, or he's mentioning Jacobson, but probably Kolars because he's the generated guy. Yeah, maybe there is a chance we go with him in that sense. Because our defensive core is not too bad at this stage. Obviously, it does still need a lot of potential, but I think it's definitely growing the right way. So maybe addressing the offense more is something that we could lean towards doing. And our last and final comment is from San Otaku, who says, maybe you could get all the goal assignments off camera and give a quick summary when you come back, as it took quite a while. The injury thing sounds like a bug that needs to be fixed, and I agree that you should turn them off at least until you have a complete NHL caliber roster. You need goal scorers, but it doesn't look like there's any snipers worthwhile, except for Holtby, who's projected to go second. Take Peltier or Kolars with your first pick, then any potential lowlights with your later round selections. And I totally agree. I think we'll definitely do the goals and stuff like that for next season off camera. Same with these off-season ones. That way it just kind of makes the episode flow a little bit better, so we'll do that. And he's also saying about potentially going over Kolars or Peltier. So there is a good chance that we'll probably go with Kolars, just because I think you guys are right. That would be nice to address their offense a little bit more. And Billy Peltier is pretty much exactly like just a two-way version, I guess, of what we already kind of have that's a little bit better in potential. So I don't think we really need him that much at the moment, but obviously there's going to be drafts in the future that probably have more defensemen anyways, and you're not ever going to always just see like a left-wing playmaker that's going to be an elite player too. So I think that's going to be a good idea for us to do. So anyways, let's hop into this draft. We'll do the off-season stuff. Like I said, I'll cut that out of the video. I'll do that probably once we get to that free agency portion. I'll just cut that completely out, and then we'll advance back into starting the sim up to the season start. So let's get into this draft and see what goes with the first two picks. Likely Landon Dupont obviously goes first. I don't remember who was supposed to go second. They said, I think that was the sniper, if I'm not mistaken. What was his name again? Oh, Holtby, right? Yeah. Yeah, Josiah Holtby should be going second overall. And then I will likely probably go with Kolars. Even though Peltier is probably going to be a solid two-way defenseman, I think at the same time I'd prefer some more offense on that R4 group a bit. Because like he would be probably a good setup guy to put next to somebody like Ristolainen, for instance, or something like that. So I think that's a good thing for us to address. So let's take a look and see if St. Louis takes Landon Dupont. Likely they will. Let me actually move my face down to here so you guys can actually see what's going on here. And there he is. Yep, Landon Dupont, 70 overall medium franchise. I think The reason why he's only a 70 is because he's not growing through those 3 years. Like, I think there was a bug or something where basically prospects start as a certain overall. Like, he probably was already a 70 overall a few years ago, but he didn't actually grow during the time up until the draft. So, but he's still going to be a very good offensive defenseman. I don't know if they're going to sign him right away, but at least he should make the NHL within a few seasons. So there's a good pick for St. Louis, of course. LA at number 2. Are they going to take that sniper? Yes, they are. So there is Josiah Holtby. He's a former 50-goal scorer in the United States. Over 100 points, too. Not that that matters too much, but that's what he looks like. Actually, move my face back to here. Yeah, it looks pretty balanced. No real weakness other than his fighting skill, but obviously he's not going to be a fighter. And he also has stick him up, so a good defensive stick and a sniper. That's actually kind of interesting. So he could play good defensively, but he's also a very good offensive forward. So we'll be interested to see what that guy's like once he actually starts playing in the NHL, which is likely going to be this upcoming season. So now I think we are going to go with Kolars because obviously I don't really need a DFD like Hannon, who's probably a defensive defenseman. There's no guarantee on that. Peltier is a two-way. Like I said, Peltier is going to be good, but I would prefer, I think, to get some more offense for our team. So we are going to go with Matej Kolars here from Viktovice Redira of Czechia. And let's see how good he is. 77. That's not a bad starting overall. That's definitely going to help our top 6 a little bit. So obviously a little bit lower for an overall because we went off the board a bit. But this is what Matej Kolars looks like. No X factors, which kind of sucks, but he's got 84 passing already. Looks good in the shooting department too. Like, his only weakness, I would say, really is maybe his defense, but his defense really isn't that bad for a playmaker either. So hopefully he develops into being something decent. He looks like he could take faceoffs too. So if for some reason we want to, we could always try and turn him into a center at some stage. But at the moment, we don't really need centers with Ristolainen. So we'll probably keep him as a left wing playmaker. But at some stage, if we want to make him into a center, maybe we could try and get him to develop into being a center for our team. So there's the top 3. Let me actually move my face down to here so we can see what Chicago and Anaheim take. Likely they're going to go with the defenseman here. Peltier? No, they go with Hannon next at 4th. So there is the DFD and Hannon who goes 4th to Chicago. He's got Ice Pack, and yeah, he obviously is a little bit better overall, but looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Let me move my face again. I have to keep moving it back and forth all the time. But anyways, yeah, looks pretty good. His shot accuracy is obviously not the best, but he's going to be more of a pure-on defensive defenseman, which is kind of, I guess, what Chicago kind of needs, is they need more defensive help, right? So, makes sense. Anaheim at number 5. What are they going to take? There's Peltier. So this is the guy that we could have went with if we decided that we wanted the defenseman instead. So here is Billy Peltier. 79 overall is pretty solid out of the gate. His accuracy is not the best for a two-way defenseman, so I don't know how much he'd score, but he does have good shot power. Looks pretty balanced. Yeah, no real weakness. So Anaheim gets a little gift there from us because we decided not to take him. Let's simulate to our next pick and see if we could actually make some good picks outside of the first round, because obviously we haven't had that yet with this team. So if we could get any steals, I will be happy, which this Nikita Tulipov guy might be intriguing because he's a guaranteed top 6. I'll pin him for now. Is there anybody else here that's better? Ola Blomstrand could be a low elite, but no guarantees. It's probably going to be a medium 9, my guess. Marcus Payarvi looks okay, but I don't know if he's a low elite or not. He could be a low elite, to be honest, because of the fact that it says medium elite. I don't know. I got to look at those two guys for sure. But it looks like this draft class isn't super deep again, because you're getting medium top 6s in the second round again. Dustin Calder might be low elite, maybe not. Ooh, there's a guy that might be low elite too, and Bobrovsky, but no guarantees. Yeah, I'm not too sure on this draft class. Low top 4. I feel like a lot of the low elites might be low 4s or low 6s or low 9s, something like that. So I think we're going to lean towards taking, let me see. Let's go by this. Actually, let's just go by ranking. We're going to lean towards either Tulipov or Payarvi. And I think I might just go Tulipov because he's guaranteed top 6. Like, there's a chance that Payarvi's not... he looks good, though, maybe. I wish I would have interviewed him to just guarantee it. And looks like he could be another left-wing playmaker. Do I take a chance that he's actually a low elite over this guy that's a guaranteed medium 6? Similar to Evgeny Kuznetsov. Probably a playmaker then. I do like the looks of Tulipov a lot, to be honest. But PRV could be a low lead, and then I'd be kind of mad if I didn't take him. But hard wrist shot, puck protection, skating. I wish I knew more on this guy. I wish I did. JVR. I don't know what I would consider JVR, more of a power forward, but those are all one bar scouted in, and Tulipov's guaranteed to be this good, so. Yeah, what do I go with here? Oh boy. I gotta make a decision here because we only got less than a minute to make our decision. Do I go with a top 6 or a guy that could be low elite? I'm going to go with the top 6. I think we just got to make sure that we actually make a good selection here, because if that guy's not a low elite, I'll be mad. Obviously, if he is one, I'm still going to be mad, but let's just go with the top 6. I don't know for sure if that was a good decision, but we needed to make one. 65 overall, medium top 6. I think that's going to be decent for us. Should give us a little bit more depth down the middle. And his faceoffs aren't really that good for a centerman, so I obviously should probably get him to start working in that area so he could actually become a competent centerman. But he's a two-way. He's got good shooting. Yeah, no real weakness that stands out to me other than like fighting skill and all that. So this guy should be a decent two-way forward for us. Maybe a future third-line center or even a top 6 center at some point. But obviously I want to take a look at what PayRV is supposed to be, because if PayRV is a low elite, I'll be kind of mad about that. Ivani, also a top 6 grinder. That's kind of interesting. Same overall. Kulaz is a top 4 defenseman. Okay. Crane's a top 6 forward, so everybody's seeming to actually look good. Hanson's a top 6 forward. St. Louis, we'll get Ranta, who's a top 6. Redmond's also a top 6. Okay, so a lot of top 6s actually in this round for that matter. And there's a top 6D. I still want to know about PayRV though. Oh boy. Did I have Blomstrand pinned? I feel like I did. 67 overall, low elite. So he was definitely probably a better selection than Tulipov. I really hope Tulipov pans out more. But that could be a huge miss for our team, missing on an old Blomstrand. I feel like PayRV is definitely going to be a low elite as well. If Blomstrand was. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we missed out on a lot of good low elites here. We definitely need our scouts to scout out these guys a little bit more thoroughly. Marcus Kondratyov, really good too. Low elite power forward. Yeah, I think PayRV is definitely low elite at this stage because of that. Hey, that's actually a pretty good starting overall for a top 9 now. And McIntyre, Akers. Why isn't PayRV gone yet? There he is. Okay, maybe we dodged a bullet. We dodged a bullet. Medium 963 overall. Okay, I'm glad we took who we did take. But it would be nice to have grabbed one of these low elites, but I didn't know they were low elites, so nothing I could do about that. Let's simulate to our next pick at 67th overall. See if we can find anybody that could be a low elite still at this stage here. This guy's supposed to go 119, so I could get him probably next round. We could go with Whitfield, who could be a low elite here. Yeah, you know what? We're going to take a chance with Andrew Whitfield. He's AHL eligible too. Medium 6, offensive defenseman. It's okay, I guess, but it might be just become more of what we have like already with like Walking David in the AHL. So I don't really know if that's a great selection, but it's okay. I was hoping he would be a low lead at least, but no. What about that other guy that we had pinned? Yeah, we're going to definitely go for this guy now because he could be low elite. There's a chance that he might be a low 4, but he could be also an offensive defenseman. And if he's a low lead offensive defenseman at this stage, who knows, maybe he could become a future Norris winner, but there's a good chance that he's not going to be that good, but we're going to still take a chance on Tyson Gardner, who will not be AHL eligible. He is a 49 overall low lead offensive defenseman, so we do get ourselves a nice deal there. I don't really know how good this guy's going to pan out, obviously, because he's only a 49 right now, but if he gets a lot of growth within a year, he could definitely be getting close to the NHL. Obviously, since he plays in the Q, we have to wait a while before we could actually play him in the HL level, but hopefully he gets a lot of natural growth and surprises us, because that could be a really good steal for the 4th round. Okay, our next selection here, we are on the round 5 already. We don't have anybody else that we have pinned left on the board, right? No. So now we have to make some educated guesses, pretty much, which is pretty much everything is in drafting anyways. Medium bottom 6, medium 9. And there's some goalie prospects again. I feel like we draft goalies every year, though, so maybe this isn't the year to do it. A lot of goalies supposed to go around now. Do we want more goaltenders in our system that we could potentially sign down the road? You know what? It might not be a bad idea just to get a goalie. Or we could go with the meme 9 instead, but I feel like this guy's not going to pan out that well. So let's go for the highest projected goalie, which is, actually he's a 20-year-old, never mind on him. Let's go for a younger goalie. Let's go for Brandon Ollie, who's only 18 years old. I'd prefer him probably over a 20-year-old Polish goaltender. So let's take Brandon Ollie and see if he's going to actually make our prospect potential good. Fringe starter. I mean, at least it gives us some depth, like I said, at the prospect pool. He won't get signed right away because we already have a lot of goalies, but it's just more to give us depth at the goalie position a bit. What else we got here? Another fringe starter guaranteed. I feel like the rest of this draft isn't going to be super good. Is there anybody that could be still lowly? Maybe Zetterberg. You know, the real Zetterberg was a late round steal, so maybe he's going to be good too. We could take a chance on some of these other guys like Makela. Or we could go with Charles Ekblad, who is apparently from Norway. It's kind of weird. Let me actually look at all these guys' attributes potentially, see if there's anybody intriguing. Fair had maybe a B stat, so let's go with the Fair here. And I think I'll go with Zetterberg as my last selection. So Neil Fair, welcome aboard. He's 20 years old, medium 7th. Not great. I didn't realize he was 20 until I actually already pressed A on him, but oh well. Oh well. And in our last pick of this draft, we're going to take a chance on Zetterberg. And hopefully this Zetterberg is just as good as the actual one that played in the NHL. That'd be nice. So Thomas, welcome aboard. Low 9. Not great. 51 overall. At least it just gives us more depth. But at least we got a low lead offensive defenseman. So once again, not the best draft for us. I mean, I'd say our first three, or not our first three picks. Kolarz, Tulipov, and Gardner are the picks I'm the most excited about. Aside from that, who knows what's going to happen with those guys in terms of development. Like Whitfield could end up being something decent, but it really depends on all their like how they decide to grow as players. Like hopefully Gardner grows a lot, because if Gardner grows a lot, that'll give us a nice secondary good offensive defenseman behind the one we drafted last year. So now that that is good and ready to go, we have to simulate to the re-sign stage. So let's get to that. We will re-sign our coaches in the AHL, might as well for now, because I might as well just do that. So let's just do this, sign them up, and then after we're done signing them up, wait, which one was this? Associate. Once we got these guys signed up, then I'll probably, actually, well, not these guys. Once we get our players signed up, we will get to the goals, and I'll probably end up doing that. Like I said, I'll cut that part out. But let's sign our scouts back up here. We will also need to see if there's any better scouts out there. But I feel like our scouts are definitely pretty good by now, because we don't have really anybody that's in the C-rated territory anymore. We got to bring back like Shea Weber still, though, as a scout, which is funny. And Corey Perry was another one, too. So we got to bring those guys back. The 03 draft class, so to speak. So there we go. Okay, now we got the re-sign stage. So what are we going to be paying to Staubitz this offseason is the question. So guys like Trevelyan wanted two-way contracts, correct? Yes, they do. Okay, let's just give these guys two-way contracts, because that's an easy thing for me to do. Is just give them two-way contracts if they want it. It's kind of nice that they're not asking for one-way deals like they were in the past. I'm going to wait on the guys that we did not draft, just in case we get any guys into our AHL for next season, but let's sign everybody that we drafted at least. So that way we have them back for the AHL. Okay, so I think that's everybody that we drafted so far. So all these other guys are just filler players. Staubitz, I will come back to you in a second. These guys are just filler players as well. Maybe Cap Whales, I don't remember exactly. We are going to definitely sign Kolarz already out of the draft. So we'll sign him up. Tulipov is probably also going to get signed since he's AHL eligible too. He'll probably play on our NHL team next season. These other guys, I'm not too sure on. Whitfield, is he AHL eligible? He is. I want your guys' opinions on stuff like this for the start of the season. Do you want to sign guys like Whitfield and all that right away? I guess maybe if they're ready to actually play, we could play them. If they can't play, then we won't sign them yet. You know what? Yeah, I think I'm going to just literally sign everybody that we draft other than the guys that can't play in the AHL right away. So that way we at least have guys that are filling out our AHL squad if need be. So even though they might have a low overall to start, I'm going to just sign everybody except for our offensive defenseman that isn't AHL eligible yet. So, and Ollie, I don't think I'm going to sign Ollie yet either, just because we have a lot of goalies. Like, we already have Shipley under contract, or he will be. Same with Tamerlan, Dalcol, and Thorne. Like, I don't really need a depth goalie signed, so I am going to leave Ollie unsigned, and Zetterberg will be accepting soon. Now we got to get into these decisions here. I'll probably let go of a couple guys from the AHL, so just because obviously we just drafted a couple more people. Let's free up a couple spaces here, at least 4 spaces should be fine. So we'll do that. And then Stelbitz, I need to think on what I want to give you. What do you want? That's interesting. He actually wants a no movement clause in year 6. I'm okay with giving him a no movement clause in year 6, but if I go 8 years, he wants the no movement clause in those last 3 years. Huh. He only wants a 6-year deal with a no movement clause at the end of it. And that's a full no movement clause. Obviously, we can't trade in the series anyways. I could definitely give him more money than he's asking for right now. I don't want to obviously overpay on him, but I'm okay with committing to him for 8 years for now because we have the cap space and all that. Like, literally an 8 by 5.5 would be nice, but I'm going to get it up at least until the bottom of this bar. So let's get this up a little bit. There you go. 5.8 for 8 years with a no movement clause in the last 3. I think that's okay. So let's offer Stelbitz that contract, see if he'll accept. He'll get back to us tonight, and we will qualify all the... Actually, not qualify all the rest of these guys, because obviously they're going to want 2-way deals. But we are going to have to sign our cap whales as well. Let's just give all these 2 guys that are RFAs 1-year deals for now, just to fill out a roster in the minors. And then once this is all good and ready to go, then, like I said, I'll probably give some off-season goals, and I'll put that out of the video, and then we will obviously simulate up to the start of next season and get our line set up. I think our team is definitely going to win more games than last year again, just because we're starting to get more depth in our system. Like, I think Kolarz is going to be an intriguing player this season, especially considering he's likely going to be getting to play with some really good players already. So I think our offense definitely should be better than 1 goal a game. Like, we should be scoring maybe like 2 to 2.5 goals a game, but maybe it's even better than that, because if we're not having injuries on, we should be able to at least keep our goal scoring a little bit more consistent, because I know that our goal scoring went down a little bit after our injuries to Zelino. So let's see if all these RFAs will accept. Geez, there's a lot of them. I didn't realize there was so much of them. Maybe I should have just qualified them all, even though they're technically trying to take $3 million each. But at least we're going to be able to get these guys all back on a 2-way deal, hopefully. If any of them reject, then that would be kind of annoying, but maybe it's because I'm trying to talk them down to 1 year instead of 2 years. And Odin as well. Shout out to Marcus Odin. What a name. Okay, so there you go on that front. Goaltenders, obviously we got to get Shipley and Tamerlan back as well. They want 2-way deals, so that's what they're going to get. Yeah, it's nice that they're asking for 2 ways, because I know that at least in NHL 24, I'm pretty sure they were always asking for 1-way deals at this stage. So these guys are cap whales, so let's just give them some big money. 1-year deal, and you're going to get $19 million there, man. And we need a couple more people as cap whales as well. 1-year deal, and you could get 19 million as well. And you could get 19 million as well, I think, actually, for that matter. All 3 take $19 million. There you go. And now we just need to find out if Stelbitz will accept that extension that we gave him. And if he does, we are pretty much ready to go at that stage. So let's advance and see if Stelbitz will accept. Obviously, he's the big one of the bunch to accept if he does. Looks like some of those coaches are rejecting, which is okay. But I don't really care about the coaching staff just yet. Eventually, at some point, we will. And, okay, looks like we're getting some RFAs accepting, which is good. Boom. Actually, some of them are, a lot of them are rejected. Wow. A lot of them are rejected because I changed it down to 1 year. But we did get an accept from Stelbitz, which I didn't even get a notification about. So Stelbitz is back for the next 8 years, which is great. And obviously, he's got that future season clause, which it doesn't show here yet. Actually, no, it does show in 2032 onwards. But obviously, he's not getting moved regardless, so... Nice little contract. I don't think we overpaid too much on him either, which is good, because obviously his production hasn't been insane, but I will definitely take that. Let's just give these guys the 2 years that they're asking for, some of them. Because it seems like a lot of these guys, unless I give them a little bit more money, will they accept because of that? There you go. Take that money. I just need these guys to accept. Because it's kind of annoying that they're just trying to get more money. Or more. They always want more than 1 year. Because look at that contract interest jumping down in 1 to 2 years. So we'll just give them the 2 years that they've been asking for. Because at least they could hold on to our roster a little bit in the AHL. Some of them will give only 1 year too, just because obviously there's going to be more players coming to the minors next season. So, yeah, this game is a little bit slow by comparison to last year for sure. I know some people have been complaining about the speed of the game. And obviously I hope that they get it faster, because obviously sometimes it's kind of tedious. But for me it's okay, just because I'm used to roster editing anyways. So it's not the worst thing I've ever been through. Like, you don't really know slow until you've seen the old contract speed from like last year before they updated it. It used to be super slow. Alright, so those guys have contracts all offered, so we should be pretty much good if these guys accept, which hopefully all of them do. They're rejecting a couple of them, or one of them did at least. Yeah, it was just Tellstrom. We'll get Tellstrom to accept. You just got to go 2 years and bam, boom. Okay. So that's all good to go. The only unsigned guy is Ollie and Gardner, just because they can't play in the AHL yet. Well, Ollie can, but we don't need 3 goalies. Gardner is just not AHL eligible yet. I could play him in the NHLs of 49, but I think that's a risk. So I could leave that up to you guys if we should sign him to start the season or not. But I think waiting maybe a year first is probably a good idea before we get him in. Alright, so that is good. Let's go to free agency, and then I could actually start doing the goals, which, like I said, I'll cut that out of the video, because or else this video will be very long, because they're already at like 30-something minutes, and I haven't even done any of these goals yet. So let me do some goals, and I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, guys, so all the goals have been set out, so players will be working on their offensive awareness. Some of them I put on like defensive-related stuff, just because they're more defensively minded, so it doesn't really make sense to put them on offensive side of things. So that should be all set and ready to go. And I think we are probably good to start simming up to next season. I don't want to actually go to the free agents. I wanted to take a look at if there was any better scouts out there. I don't think we need to really hire any more scouts. I don't think that's a mandatory thing. We don't really need a new coach either. If I go to, where's our staff? Coaching staff. Let's see if we actually need any new scouts here, and if there's any really good ones. There's a couple more A ones, A minuses. How much A minuses are there? I don't know if I should hire more of those. Maybe I will. Maybe I will, just to make sure we have enough. So let's fire. How much A minuses were there? Because I will bring those in at least, so that way we have maybe a better chance to scout out stuff. So we'll sign Voinov. We will sign Reyes. We'll sign Osborne. And we will sign Buse. So that gives us 4 A minuses, so I'll get rid of 4 people. I'll readjust this basically after this episode probably, or in between episodes, or at the start of the next episode. Let's fire our B minus ones, so 4 B minuses, and there you go. That's all we need. So we will not have a single scout that's worse than a B rating, which is pretty good. So we're starting to build up that scouting pool, which is good, and hopefully that gives us better results at the draft. So I think we're good to go. Let's begin the sim up to next season. Get those scouts signed. So here they all are. And then we'll get our line set up and see what the team's looking like for next season. Also take a look at some new faces on the team, of course, as well. Just because obviously it's kind of fun to see what those guys look like. At some point we might not be able to do them, just because that's usually when the game crashes is when that happens apparently. So I don't obviously want to go into that screen and then all of a sudden lose like an entire episode because of the game crashing. So this might be one of the last seasons we take a look at what the players' faces look like until they actually patch that issue. So just a little heads up on that. As I forget what year it usually becomes a bit of a problem. I think it's in the 2030s, but I could be wrong. Okay, so let's get this roster set up and ready to go. So first and foremost, who is in the NHL? Who is in the AHL this season? So Shipling, Tamerlan in the NHL, Dalcoli and Thorne in the AHL. Looks pretty good. Our goaltending is starting to come along. We almost have every goalie at least to a 65, which is nice. So that's decent. Defensively, Tuzolino, Norena, Trevelyan, Parks, Bates, and Pavelski. Is there anybody I would prefer up here? Probably not. 3 righties, 3 lefties down in the minors. I don't mind that. We could probably call up another righty and then send Pavelski down. But it's not a huge upgrade. I think we'll probably keep this defensive core. Right wing side of things. Stelbitz, Perron, DeZote, Malkin, Timmins. Anybody I would call up here. Zetterberg could play in the AHL for sure. Yeah, that should be fine. I don't know if I really need DeZote up here anymore. He's more of just a depth guy at this point. Kohlers, Capaduca, Noonan. Okay. Yeah, this is starting to come together, it looks like, which is good. Centers, we have Ristolainen, Bogosian. Tulipov is one of the centers. McPhee's not ours. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let's go to edit lines and see what we're working with in terms of our lineup. So, first line, Kohlers, Ristolainen, Stelwitz. Only a +1, which isn't the best chemistry, but it isn't too bad. Second line, Capaduca with Bogosian, and I guess we'll go with Timmins. Actually, we probably should put our higher potential guys as high as possible, so Tulipov probably on the second line makes a bit more sense. Bogosian can play with Noonan and Perron. So there you go. Basically, our top line is now all players that we drafted, so that's good. Defensively, Tuzlino and Arena don't work together, so we'll have to split them up constantly, which is okay. Yeah, that looks not too bad. Is there anybody scratched that shouldn't be? Malkin. Malkin needs to be in the lineup, so we'll take out Justin DeZote for Malkin. Because Malkin has been a solid goal scorer in his past, so he'll get to play with Bogosian and Noonan. There you go. So our only scratched player is DeZote. We have literally, how much? 10 of 12 forwards that we've drafted, and our entire defensive core is drafted, same with our goalies. So we almost have a full-on NHL roster, which is exciting. Let's go to the power play and see what we got here. Ristolainen, Keller, Stelwitz, Tuzolino, and Arena. Okay, that's fine, even though it's a -1. We will probably take this guy off because he's not a player of ours, and we will give Malkin a chance on the power play. That looks okay. Is Malkin a really, really good shooter? I think he is, right? Yeah, he's okay. I'm going to put him on the point. We're going to take Bates off the power play. And I'm going to give also power play time to Tulipov because this is his first season in the NHL. We want him to get some ice time, so we'll do that. And then he should be getting some PK time as well, right? I would assume. We're still in until Tulipov is the second center. Okay, that's good. Stelwitz and Malkin don't work at all though on that PK. Interesting, huh? It is what it is. At least they're getting more ice time for now. That's okay, but we are going to start looking at new coaches probably early as next season, just because we almost have a full-on roster at this point. AHL, let's make sure our prospects are in over the other guys. So who's scratched? Just Zetterberg, okay. So Zetterberg will come in and go onto the top line right away. He's a right winger, so we'll put him in instead of Rowan. That way we get our prospects in the best spots to develop. So Zetterberg getting top line time. And then defensively, let's rework this defensive core maybe a little bit. Ooh, the chemistry is so bad down here. Jeez. Alright, that's not great. Okay, that's probably the best thing for us, is go with something like that. It's not as bad anymore. And there's the goaltending. There you go. So all the lineups are set up and ready to go. So Kohlers, Ristolainen, Stelwitz, Timmins, Tulipov, Capaduca, Noonan, Bogosian, Malkin, and then Perron's on that fourth line. Then we have Parks and Tuzolino, Trevelyan, Arena, Pavelski, Bates, and of course our goaltending of Shipley and Tamlin. Not bad. I did also give Perron an offseason thing of trying to get stronger. So he is going to get a little bit more physical. So he's going to grow into that kind of grinder that we need for the bottom six. So that's why I'm trying to work on with him a little bit, just in case you guys wanted to know. So that's all set and ready to go. So now I think we could take a look at our new players on the team, which should be exciting. I think we'll also probably wait till next episode to see what's supposed to go first overall in the draft. Actually, maybe I'll do it in this episode. I feel kind of like I want to see what it looks like. But first and foremost, we got to take a look at these new guys on the team and what they look like. So let's see what these faces look like. Hopefully some of them look at least a little bit cool. So nobody's new in goal. Defensively, any new defenders? I don't think so. Was Bates in the NHL last season? He was, yeah, he was. Okay, I thought so. I just got to double check on that. Any new people in right wing? No. Of course, Kohlers we need to take a look at. He might be the only one we need to take a look at here. Oh, him and Tulipov, yeah, that's right. So Matej Kolars, who was our obviously high up pick this year, what is he looking like? He is looking like this. He also has lamb chops like everybody, it seems like. Ooh, he's got some interesting head hair too. Okay, how long does his beard get? Goes all the way to 4. Oh man, does he actually grow up to this much? Because that's actually pretty cool. So Matej Kolars looks pretty sick. What number does he wear? Did it say 68? And he's from Czech Republic. So this guy definitely grew up watching Jaromír Jágr. Just no question about it. Yellow stick. Looks nice. I like it. Maybe he could be our future Jaromír Jágr, even though he's a playmaker. And then obviously we got to take a look at Tulipov as well. I hope that Tulipov could become a good two-way forward for us. That'd be nice to have as like a good defensive third-line center at the future. So this is what Tulipov looks like. Pretty basic, it looks like. Maybe no facial hair yet. Oh, maybe there is some facial hair, and he's gray too. So he's an old-looking Russian guy, or Ukrainian guy, or whatever he's from. I can't remember where it said he's from. But yeah, he's got gray hair, a gray beard. He's only 18 years old, but he looks like he just stepped out of a time machine. Like he looks like Doc from friggin' Back to the Future or something like that. I don't know how this guy's 18, but he's got an aviator, or not an aviator visor, a friggin' a friggin' tilted visor, so at least that makes him look a little bit more youthful. Number 4 in Nikita Tulipov. Where is he from? Just because I want to make sure I get the country right. I think it was Ukraine, right? Let me double check on that. Oh, no, never mind. That's friggin' Lithuania. No. Is that Lithuania? No, it's Estonia, I think. I think that's Estonia, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken. We'll not take a look at the AHL guys just because obviously they're not going to matter yet until they get back to the NHL. So that's good to go. Final thing, I think I will take a look at the draft class already and see what's projected to go first overall. Obviously, we don't know these guys' ratings yet, but still I want to kind of see what's supposed to go in this draft class. There's a couple centers, a couple wingers as well. And then there is a couple defensemen too, which is nice. All right. So if we're drafting later than normal, we could get ourselves a defenseman. If we're drafting around still the top 3, we should be able to get ourselves another solid forward prospect. So there's some decent stuff there. Is there any goalies that are supposed to go super high up? Not crazy. These guys are probably elite goalies or starting goalies at least, based on what they normally go at. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be an interesting draft for sure. A lot of Europeans in the early going and Americans. Not as much Canadians in the early parts of this draft. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will simulate the 27-28 season. We'll see what this team does. I think this year, obviously, we're going to take it up a notch even more. Obviously, last season was a lot of injuries. Without injuries, I think we're definitely going to have our best season yet. So, should be some good stuff to build on. And I'm hoping that, obviously, we could get some good production from our top line. Because now, it's a full-on elite top line. So, let me know that below. And I'll see you guys next time.